Hey everyone, welcome to our Poetry Perspective feature presentation. I'm currently sweltering in the heat. I hope this is a good time for you to maybe stay out of the blazing heat if you're in Melbourne and watch a bit of poetry and chill out. So this presentation is from a couple of our recent live shows that we've gone back to since COVID restrictions have eased. And we've got 4 of our feature performances for you. So we have from Poetry Perspective number 70, we've got Noelka Fialova and John Englezos. So there's something to really enjoy there. So Noelka's doing her Rick Mail retrospective, so that was a lot of fun. I was there live to watch that one and certainly enjoyed that. John obviously is performing some of his own poetry. And then from Poetry Perspective 73, we've got Steve Smart performing his Battle of the Boyds, and Cameron Logan performing his own work. Some great stuff in there. I enjoyed the shows a lot. Certainly enjoyed these performances. I'm sure you'll enjoy them too. Stay cool, everyone, and enjoy.
Alright, I got bloody eye surgery and I still can't read my fucking poetry book because of the light now. That is. I got it. No, it's cool. No, it's fine. It's alright. I didn't get eye surgery during lockdown and still not be able to read poetry. Alright. My name's Wick. Shut up. Alright. My name's Wick, okay, and I'm a people's tut. And I've got a couple of... Right, I've got a couple of poems here. I've got a couple of poems here. Don't know if any of you are into poetry at all.
What's that?
Shut up. Well, if you're not into poetry, then you've come to the wrong place. Pardon? Some very angry poems. And the first poem I'm going to read is one of my angriest poems that I've written. It's called Theatre. Right, Scott. Theatre! What are you, theatre? Whenever I'm near to the theatre... Shut up! Whenever I'm near to the theatre, I ask myself this question. I don't know. Perhaps I should ask Vanessa Redgrave. But I don't know Vanessa Redgrave. And neither do you, theatre. Theatre. Why are you theatre? Whenever I meet a friend in the theatre, shut up. Whenever I meet a friend at the theatre, I ask him this question with my eyes. And he sighs, and he replies as all the other guys, I don't know. Ask Vanessa Redgrave. And I don't know Vanessa Redgrave. And neither do you, theatre. Theatre. Are you theatre? Whenever I carry my spear to the theatre to do Hamlet, I ask this question. and it says nothing except, I don't know! Why don't you ask Vanessa Redgrave? But I don't know Vanessa Redgrave! And neither do you, theatre! Or do you? Don't clap, you're all mellow, meringue, boomerang, freeform. What do you think you're doing, pig? Do you really give a fig, pig? And what's your favorite sort of game, pig? Barry Manilow or the black and white minstrel show? That one's for the kids only. I guess I have time for one more. This is an angry love poem I've written. It's called Vanessa. Shut up. I don't see anything funny about that. Do you want to come here and read a poem? Yeah, I thought not. Do I love you, Vanessa, Vanessa, Vanessa? Do you love me, Vanessa? You've made a mess of my life, Vanessa. Shut up. Where do I find the key? Whenever I see the tulips, the tulips, the tulips, I think of your tulips, your tulips, your tulips. Except they are not yellow. But at least they are 2 lips and not 3. Vanessa, I shall go to my grave with a bleeding heart, but at least it will be a red grave. Shut up! Or will it? Look, I wasn't going to do this, but seeing as you're such fascist, if poetry was so easy, then everybody would be doing it. It's fine at the back outside of the danger zone where all the kids are at. So as a special treat, I'm going to bring down the steak tonight.
Yes! Smash it!
Yeah, that's right. Up pigs. Yeah. And that's why I've written a poem. Pretty heavy poem, actually. And, shut up, please. It's easy to laugh, isn't it? Yeah, when you're not up in the microphone. Yeah, it's an angry poem I've written, and it's called ScoMo, and I'm still working on it. ScoMo! That's about as far as I've got. That's it for me. Enjoy your I'm going to piss out her fag because some bloke out there promised me a Pink Floyd flavoured one, so I can...
Thank you, Rick Loker. I think the kids heard that. Yes, that's right. I think the kids have really got into it, eh? Yeah, brilliant, revolution.
It is so wonderful to be
back in a room with familiar faces and new people as well, and in person. I had been quite daunted about sound levels and colour. I discovered last year that I had a noise threshold, and so to be in a space where where people are able to chat and mingle, but then you can sort of tunnel vision in and have a conversation, and then focus on music and singing and poetry and humour, and there's been such wonderful offerings already, and looking forward to the rest of the night.
I've got the smile button here.
Oh yes. I appreciate.
And I've got the
It's good. Well, we'll test it out at some point. I thought that because I'm in a new space, that I would like to read pieces that I haven't memorized. And so I'm semi new shit. Yeah. It's kind of still sort of semi fresh and just kind of like slowly going crusty, but that's okay. So the thread that weaves these pieces together is food, because I'm Greek. So you know, there's some of it's a bit more tenuous in connection than others, but here it is. We'll start with a piece called Shipwreck, and this is kind of a summary of how I found lockdown. But I think you'll see where it's going. Can I say that I'm doing my best? I started posting less. There's too many fish and too many lines and too many hooks, and everything that was once neatly wrapped and packaged has become like, I don't know, plastic refuse in an ocean of noise. I feel like I'm forgetting something. Can I say that I'm tired? The sleep in didn't help, or the shower, and even though I've written the shopping list, there's this snagging feeling of holes in the net. I think I'm forgetting something. I'm paddling through so many aisles with so many items and so much music. Can I say I'm trying to remember, straining to lay hold to that 3 a.m. thought and somehow pluck it from the air in the clear light of day, all the while keeping the facade of friendly and adult and together, and I'm certain I'm forgetting something. Can I say it's been slipping through my fingers? There's just some brainwaves here and there that rip me in some other direction other than where I wish to go. Woolworths is not the right place for a full-blown existential crisis. However, I am looking at the basket, brain-fried. Tomato paste, red capsicum, paprika, pineapple pieces, mushrooms, oranges because fruit, and cherry ripes because favourite. And of course cheese, and I am still doubting what I have chosen because I know I am forgetting something. No, you are not a wreck. Your intelligence and your value are not being challenged, even if your sanity is. I arrive back home, re-examine my haul. I forgot the milk, it's okay. And there weren't any eggs available. I checked, that's also fine. But when I pull my bounty from their bags, lay it all out across the bench and realise, crap! Pizza bases! That's what I was gonna do! Oh, I wonder if flour goes off. Thank you, everybody. We got asked, so I took part in the Dirty 30 this year, which for those of you who haven't participated, it's organised by a wonderful gentleman called Abdul Hamud.
Yeah.
And he gives a prompt each day for the month of April, and so if you follow it, you come out the other end with pieces that you otherwise never would have written, because what's better than looking at a blank page is actually saying, here's an opening line, here's a running thought, go with it. And so we got asked, to write about the way in which you might express love to someone that you are away from. And so this is a piece called Passing Time. And it's, I suppose, fairy tale? Something. The grass was no consolation, so he ripped up the back lawn. He marked each day into the ground, and so the earth became his calendar. There was evening and there was morning, and on the seventh day he planted seeds where the lines were drawn and covered the week over. And this is how he passed the time. In tears and toil and seeds and soil, one moment carving out and the next healing the wound. In this way the days were remembered, but the months were forgotten, shown only in braiding buds and blooms and the changing clouds overhead. He noticed the creatures that noticed him, sang his hello to those who sang, and felt no need to pay heed to those who paid no heed to him. Each day came and went as they are known to come and go, and he would mark the time with herbs, tomatoes, lettuce and the like, but also with roses, daphnes and carnations. And when the season had passed and his love was returned to him, a table was set and a meal was made, a humble harvest of homegrown goodness. You've been busy, they said. I've been waiting, he answered. How long has it been, they asked. A fresh bouquet and a bowl full of salad. Thank you. Who what?
Now I want some feta.
Now you want some feta. Oh, I'm sorry. I can't you need goats and it's like too many forms, paperwork, I don't know. Backyard. That's right.
Bring me a goat, John.
Bring me a goat. Yes. You know, it was a fascinating thing. When I went to Ecuador in 2008, and it was one of these things where it's like when the president asks an Australian couple, can you just bring over some kangaroos? And they're like, we're going to head back home. We will ask the question. You never say no to the president of Ecuador, just for the record. This is a true story. And so they go to Melbourne Zoo and they ask the question, while they're here, what would it take, you know, for us to get some kangaroos and put it in their botanical gardens, their park, whatever it is. And so they catch up with the president after the fact. And so he says, so, can you get us kangaroos? And the answer is, yes, Mr. President, we can, but you're going to need to employ someone who can look after them, who's trained 24/7, and they've been born in captivity rather than being snatched out of the wild. And so there's yes, but there's all these conditions. And so they didn't say no. But it didn't happen. So yeah, when you say, bring me a kangaroo, it's like, yes, Mr. President, however. Anyway. Sí, Presidente. This is a slightly different piece, called Cutting the Cake. She is blowing out the candles of her cake. A friend of a friend elbows me to stand closer, you know, for the tradition. I laugh it off, gesturing to the camera in my hand, indicating I have a job to do. He elbows again. She'll want someone to kiss after she cuts the cake. This is a person surrounded by her loves, and I do not wish to be that presumptuous. She kisses her housemate instead. Crisis averted. But years on, and I wonder at the times, about times like this, what if I, what if she, what if we, I suppose that this is why nerds like multiverse theory. Where in some other dimension, every blunder, every missed opportunity exists with its equally opposite twin outcome. In some other version of this moment, I step forward and she smiles, and the whole story changes. Thank you. So I will. I'll anticipate finishing with this piece, and we'll see how we're doing for time. But I got invited. I took part a couple of years back. There was a stage production of It's a Wonderful Life, done in radio play form. So there's a knock on the door, and someone's like. And they had a rumble of thunder was this giant steel sheet, and they're rattling this thing, and so you had the sound effects, sound foley guys on one side, and everyone else, reading off scripts and so on. And they asked, because this was a Christmas play and because they had made a winter wonderland, they asked us to invite people in and to evoke the memory of Christmas. And for myself, that's a family of 7. I'm the second of 5 boys, and all the relatives and the big Greek feast, and that's kind of how things are done. But I wanted to offer this piece as a difference to Sunday Lunch from Memory, but similar vein. And I invite you to paint your pictures over my words, and I hope that they are pleasant pictures. So here it is. And I felt this is about as close to Christmas as I'll ever get a feature, so I might as well, we got permission. So there it is. It's like, we're in the month, I can get away with it, I'm not about to start singing Wham, it's like we're all good. So, we totally could ruin it for everyone playing the game. It's like somewhere, Anthony crawls out of the things. No, we won't do that. We won't do that. Anyone playing Whamageddon, it's not, read about it later. Okay. That's right, it only counts. So I could sing the couple, it's not going to happen. I love this room. I should come back more often.
Yeah.
Anyway, so thank you so much for having me. Here it is. It's Christmas time. It's Christmas time. It's Christmas time, and Bing Crosby is on the radio singing about Christmas snow. And for one day, one glorious day, the shops cease their screaming. The neighbours go from their cold, quiet selves to mildly friendly with a shy smile and a nervous wave. It's like magic, and it's happening. It's Christmas time, and the chicken is roasting, and the gravy is being stirred, and potatoes are baking, and fresh, crusty bread is being buttered thick right to the edges. And we pull out the fancy cutlery and set the table with the best we can supply, shake the dust off the Christmas ornaments, set out the long candles, re-glue the gifts back into the wise man's hands.
Yes! Yes!
I have to say it. It is a strange way to mark off the time, to place a tree inside a living room, and we turn every branch heavy and adorn this prickly pine with any colour we can find. The angel which I made, when I was little, is dangled precariously, yet takes pride of place in the centre of the tree.
Yeah.
It is painted silver and is made entirely out of pasta. Tubular rigatoni body. Macaroni curved arms, Cappelletti halo, and that strange smile, and those little bow ties for the wings. Look it up in Google, it's for real. This is a great craft thing. Anyway, how this little fragile thing has lasted all these years, I will never know.
Yes.
It's Christmas time, and the doorbell keeps ringing, and every time you open it, someone you love greets you. How is that even possible? And they shake off the weather and they step across the threshold, and they have brought you something, and it smells delicious, and it looks shiny, and it feels weighty. And we are bowled over by a crashing embrace, and this is when home is home. It's Christmas time, and the kids are running laps around the living room, dodging, grabbing hands like rabbits in a veggie patch. And just like every other year, my great uncle gives us yet another tin of butter cookies. I think he has bought them in bulk and keeps them stowed in some secret pantry. I like the biscuits shaped like a pretzel. They will be the first to go because they have the most sugar on them. Children know these things. It's Christmas time, and for at least one day we live like we are in abundance, even if we are not. Connect to the tables, pull back the chairs, make room for more. Even if there is not, there is always room for more. The lights sparkle and the laughter grows and the carols play and the conversations swell and the voices raise and the newborn praised and the noise is joy and something's burning. It's Christmas time and the chicken is on fire and the potatoes aren't helping and my grandma is telling stories and my grandpa is talking politics and the wine has strangely vanished. And there is wrapping everywhere and the house is a mess, but give thanks, everyone, give thanks. Another year has come and gone. Scrape off the burnt bits and serve one another. We made it. Yes, we made it, mind you. We don't always agree. Years on and there still remains the less than ideal table conversations that really could have been saved for another time but wasn't. For better or worse, we are here together as family and my mother sheds a proud tear seeing everybody seated and fed. It's Christmas time and the dishes pile high and the stomachs stretch. And the songs vanish into the air and after every in-law has been hugged and every parent has been thanked and the tide recedes and the silence settles, we survey the wreckage. Oh boy. And it seems so much effort. And at my most cynical, I probably ask, why do we do all this? It seems so impractical. My bank account is screaming and the rat race is still waiting. How long may we keep this mad animation suspended? How do we show the people that are special to us that they are special to us? How do we do this? Remember, how do I do this right? Remember, in all the brimming and boiling over this day anchors into the deep of me, we are marking off the time like heights against the door frame. Reread my father's handwritten cards. Replay all the laughter. Hold these gifts, be thankful. Yes, it's just a scarf, but it was hand knitted. Yes, it's just a meal. Oh, but it's what you do with it. Yes, it's just a pair of socks, but, well, the other ones were getting old. Yes, it's just a picture, but you drew us and you used every colour in the packet. We hold on to the good bits, scrape off the burnt bits. It's Christmas time and it's messy and it's noisy and we crash like a tide against one another. This day is a converging of all the waves, the confluence of young and old. We receive each other in all our scurf and scurry and my shoreline does not feel the same as before. I have been shifted. I have trodden and I have been tread upon. It's Christmas time, it's costly, but it's lovely. So much has been given because so much is given. In this time, in this place, in this life, hasn't this all been so terribly wonderful? We are sorry, grateful. We are tired, full. We are striving, freedom. We are empty, abundance. We are exhausted, delight. We are clumsy, waltzing. We tumble through this thing together and I would not miss this for the world. It's Christmas time, so wrap your hearts in paper. Write your love into a card. Seal it in an envelope. Engrave hope in every embrace. Hang your memories like ornaments you do not wish to break. It seems so quaint, so unreasonable, like an angel made out of pasta. But joy is not a thing that can be seen unless it is dangled precariously. And all this is the least we can do to mark off the season, give thanks and say, yes, I have been blessed. It's Christmas time and this time would not be the same without you and I would not be the same without you. Thank you. Thank you so much, everybody. Amazing. say one thing just before I go. One of the things that happens, which is really wonderful at these gigs, is that people sort of say, how do we find you? How do you find your stuff? Looking up my first name and surname, John Inglezos, like, you will find my personal page. But please, if you would like to connect with me, the best way to do that and the way with the most care is look up John E. Poetry. That way I just sort of, it means I can look at you during business hours, and it means that I get some context of, oh yeah, poetry perspective. So yeah, thank you so much again for the space, Lish, and to the people at the bar who have been organising drinks and food and the amazing stuff for us. Thank you so much for that. And have an amazing, blessed season, everybody. Take care.
So we can't totally escape Lish today, because I asked Lish to give me the bio for Steve, and Steve foolishly told Lish she could write it on his behalf. So Lish knocked this bio of Steve together this afternoon. So I'll read that out for you. Buckle down. Art is a constant conversation with yourself, said Steve Smart. I've seen him muttering to himself in the backyard. Who doesn't? Steve has muttered in mics, yelled on bar tops, organised the muttering and yelling at others at festivals. Steve has started gigs and gently pushed others with his muttering to start other gigs all around Australia and other parts of the world. Steve has also muttered and yelled in other parts of the world. He has also read and sang very clearly, maybe even more than he has muttered and yelled. His poems are pure Steve. Smart, arsey, analytical, comical, raw-hearted, and in true Steviness, damned beautiful. He can also handle a good old heckle, but don't push it. Yell loudly for Steve Smart.
Thank you, Colin. Thank you, Lish. That was a lot about me and my muttering, but I'm not doing my muttering, I'm doing other people's muttering. I am, as Colin said earlier, I'm doing one set, two poets, dear friends of mine from WA, Alan and Jacob Boyd, aka Anti-Poet and Laundryman. I'm not going to do too much of a big kind of build-up thing, because I would rather get through more of their poems than more of my muttering. I do love both of them, and yeah, I'd love for you to hear some of their poetry. I would like to dedicate this song, this set, not this song, to Jake's mum and Alan's wife, Turkey Ton Boyd. You should know why. I'm gonna go, I'm kind of nervous. I don't get that nervous doing my own stuff, but I get real nervous doing other people's poetry, because, you know, you'd like to not fuck it up. But the way that the set is gonna go, I was gonna do it in two separate halves, but the way that I'm gonna do it is one of Al's, one of Jake's, one of Al's, one of Jake's throughout the set. It's gonna be fast, it's gonna be loud, and I will try to get it in the next 15 minutes. It's called Gallipoli Crescent 2020 by Anti-Poet. At the driveway helm, we are concrete pontiffs of war tales, thanking them like Jesus for standing up to the force of lead and copper ballistics, 744 meters per second, piercing collective skin on crosses they hang us, dissing the myth. In the dark, we wait for someone to tell us how to behave. And the hot, wet shadows of home wake us in trenches of race hate, of capital empire, of dysentery and gases, then lest we forget to lean on the Hilux, the Cerato Hatch, the Hyundai Ranger. They died for the price of 4% discounted fuel for RAC members. They sacrificed like God's only son for sins transgressed in 2020. As the suns rise on Anzac Terrace, Gallipoli Crescent, we salute dumbstruck at the isolating red dawn. to those that stood in heaving lines at the barbed wire and blood, and those we send still, and the sun rises like a virus. And from Jacob, I think you'll recognize the tune that this one is set to. Australians, oh, let us break out, 'cause we're not young or free. On stolen soil, our wealth unloyal, our home is sick with greed. We burned up all of nature's gifts into the fucking air. In history's rage, let every page condemn us and despair. In shameful pains, then let it sting, condemn us and despair. Beneath our drunken Southern Cross, we'll seek out drugs and binge, and make this commonwealth of ours a continent of sins. For refugees across the sea, we'll make life a nightmare, 'cause fear controls our news headlines, condemn us and despair. All these bloodstains should make us scream, condemn us and despair. First poem of Al's called Poetry Saved My Life. Oh, I should say, if you want to check out Alan's stuff, antipoet.info. If you want copies of Jacob's book, City Without Stories, let me know. I'll write your name down, because we have a bunch of them at home, but we just moved house and they're in a fucking box. And I can't figure out which fucking box. But if you want them, I can take names down and get them to you. Because he would like people to be able to purchase those books in Melbourne. And I am his bookshop. Poetry saved my life. So I said, popped a pretty pristine piece of paper in my polyester pocket and pulled out a political poem. Said, poem should have stood still on the side of your slippery street, spat out some syllables and said, poem, let's lift the lying lids off labels in the ladies' aisle, let's call it a little lesson in local linguistics and say poetry saved my life. Like a tank top Jesus in a sidebar feed, nobody told me there'd be poems like these. 2-minute rhythm rant, stiletto phrases, many words on stage. Recycled compost, slammed a poem lost, backed up metaphors built out of big words. Poetry saved my life. At your bus stop, jaw drop, rock star, mic drop, zine swap, coffee shop, strut like a big shot knife to a poem fight, shout in the judge light, and then poetry saved my life. Poetry saved my life. Are you ready? Here we go. This is a Jacob Boyd classic. It's called Goonbag Blues. Some of you heard this one. Some of you just like goonbags. My favorite band doesn't come here, but neither will the Nukes. This city's just a cog in the military-industrial complex of another nation. The radio, the TV, the BuzzFeed vids don't speak in my voice. I got the Goonbag Blues, and I'm trying to write a poem about a crushed can of Jackson Coke on a Sunday morning coming down, break up, break down, walk past the church from the bus. They're all praying to someone else's Jesus, dying for someone else's sins, and seeing God raise on cloudy days, but I've just got the Goonbag Blues to move my shoes. And I realized I've got no soul outside the milk cartons and the tourist texts and the boomtown politicians' pamphlets. They say it's a city without stories, a port without poems, a colony without culture. I disagree. Not for Fringe World, Tame Impala or Tim Winton's libido. It's the Goonbag Blues, it's the fried tradies' brains, it's meth teeth and oppressive cranes that keep us from clogging the Butler line with apathetic offal, and the you generation, and the me generation, and the we generation, and the we saw the best minds of our generation created by madness generation. We went from treating songs like one-night stands to having one-night stands like songs. in this petrol station civilization, sci-fi cigarettes, plastic magpies and goon bag blues. Ain't no Latin word for the goon bag blues. Ain't no Facebook page for the goon bag blues. Ain't no HJ's Whopper for the goon bag blues. Ain't no WhatsApp word for the goon bag blues. And I'm trying to write a poem about a crushed can of Jackson Coke and the Sunday morning dew, but all we ever needed was the goon bag blues.
Yeah.
So we let loose all the stunning words we spin on stages, inside locked and gated poems like metered pages. Another word stacked, packed back to back behind another word here, in front of another word here, beyond another word here, beneath another word here, yet another word here, layers of lines here. This big list is a poem here, a rhyming dictionary of chronic fictions, of autocratic conniptions, with tight noun light attacks, a language of clenched fists, running verbs we spat and spilt like milk and like blood and milk, drips on hands like ink, a shaved head tap, my next big simile, who's with me? Who's that on the phone? Who you talking to? What's the app for that? Can I help with that? Where can I get that? I can't unsee that. Need an update, need to kill this script. And this is a poem. Just another status symbol uptake on my latest sick meme, my GIF emoji crack screen, a splintered filtered list of some of the dumb things that may or may not happen, or the good things may not have happened yet, or the bad things. Or in real time, this is just another poem. Like brute force attacks, we deliver parasitic cryptic onslaughts, can't be bought, but ought to be taught, and we stand on solid walls and cry about it. We take to the street, write signs about it, grab a mic and rhyme about it, climb dead cars and chant about it, drop another poem in the bin for it, strip down, jump in the drink for it, can't stop, word stacks drift for it, drop it to the slick sand, bleed for it. Red bricks lift above heads and thrown, every city shop front mirror smashed, layered and mortared, could build another world with it. Get another word and build a poem with it, or talk and talk and talk and talk and talk so much with it, yet I say nothing with it. All dead noise from my mouth in it, but nobody's ready for it. This poem never spoken yet, but here she is now. Just another fucking wasted waiting poem now. Like the world needs another one, just another one. Let loose in this room, another poem, another poem, another poem, another poem, another poem. Got time for a few more. Colder than war. Old hippies versus bulldozers and cops on horseback. The young and golden versus governmental arrogance. Anarchists versus fascists. Artists versus the hands that don't feed them. Painters versus colour and poets versus words. Smokers versus an army of grim reapers. Alcoholics versus ex-lovers. Lovers versus their own damn setbacks. Melbourneites with their girlfriends stolen, bashing psychedelic sons of mythological Perth. Stanzas versus verses versus versus stanzas with your smartphone bleeding, and it's colder than war, but it's hotter than sex. Historians versus peace. Gladiatorial YouTube recommendations. Sam Harris versus Noam Chomsky versus Anita Sarkeesian's Ghost. Bernie versus Trump in fantasies of old autumn hope, good versus bad, no bullshit. And I could write all night, never-ending stories versus a broken wrist. But it's hotter than war, and it's colder than sex, and it's colder than war, but it's hotter than sex. I heard modernity's questions casually answered in a backyard in a city in the middle of nowhere, colonized, scandalized convict. Peasants descending into thieves, wake up from Barnett's wet dream, come and smell the meth heads, come and see the iron ore dildos, and it's Buddha versus Coles, Jesus versus sitcoms, Krishna versus cash, NATO versus NATO, love versus money, Coke versus Coke. And you're living in a sequel to 1984, and you're living in a prequel to Brave New World, wondering if my matrix is your matrix, is his matrix, is their matrix, is her matrix, as we're contemplating Obama's legacy in a nuclear shelter, this Cohenlessness, Bowie-lessness, living in Ragnarok's comma, like the revolution's dead, because Mum and Dad said they've seen it all before when Kurt Cobain shot his brains into the radio, and it was colder than, was colder than, was colder than war, but it was hotter than, was hotter than, was hotter than sex, and you can pinpoint your civilization's collapse to the punchline of a fucking Simpsons joke. You could be a poet, you could know it, you could boast about your tarot card reading to the desperately bleeding unimagining the masses, the protesters sharpening their placards, autonomy versus empire versus American carnage. It's the dawn of justice. And the spirits released when the ice caps melted are giving you nightmares, and tonight might be a good night to light the fire. Tonight might be a good night to walk towards the light. And tonight might be a good night to light the fire. And tonight might be a good night to walk towards the light. Right, I think I've got time for one each of, not very long one, of both the boys. So I'm going to do one of ours called Last Round. If anybody likes football, and if you don't, it's a good poem. You'll enjoy it. It'll be fun. We'll have a nice time. This one's for the coulda-beens, the shoulda-beens, the wannabes, the also-rans, the I think I cans, the go-getters, the coulda-been-betters. For those that want to be there, those that should have been there, those that could have been there. This is for the clangers, the misheld hangers, the 1%ers, the on-field venters. This one's for the retired, won't get rehired, for Fletcher's 400 and lest we forget those who'll fade. This one's for the calculators, the see-you-laters, the locked-in, under the weight of the 8, the power, the giants, the cats and the pies, the saints and the demons, the bombers, the suns, the blues and the lions, in that order. For those missing in action, subbed for concussion, went down the race, just couldn't get up, had a poor quarter, unable to get into the business end to the pointy end, unable to touch the trophy. This is for them that sit in the stands, eat a pie and watch. This is for the missed shots, the hit-outs to no one, the drop ball on the run, the shrug, the shepherd, the kick-out on the full, for kicking across the face. This one's for the missed ones, the bad bananas, the missed mark, the handball into the wrong man, for those who forgot to bounce. This is for the ball. Ball umpire, ball umpire, ball umpire, ball! This one's for the Mad Monday, for the lazy beer on a Sunday, because mate, there's always next year. Yeah, this is for you. Those who took a punt, had a crack, rode the pack, but for whatever reason couldn't get through. This one's for you. Cheers. Because it's rude to cheers and not. I think I got time for one more of Jacob's. So let's do page 29. Because generally when Jacob does this, he does this towards the end of the set because it's kind of hard to get people back from. It's a good poem, I like it a lot. But sometimes people don't see it coming. It's called Phallic Fantasy. There is no art to describe the tongue on arsehole. There are no sounds associated with the roundness of cock. There are no films about these slender legs, the way they announce it. No one talks about stubble the right way. No paint could portray the taking of this second virginity, these images in the dark of hot cradled hands on temples, no word out of my mouth could come out like this, or be sober the whole time and watch as sex clocks melt, murder, masturbate to the turning of this phallic fantasy into text and truth. He gave me a lift home, and you cannot imagine the unacknowledged understanding in the car. So, my love to the boys. They will see this on film, and I hope I didn't fuck it up. Thanks to all of you, and thanks to Colin and Lish.
Yeah.
Carefully, okay. Just have to plug a few things in. Plugged in. And that, it gets turned on as well. Okay. Pedal here, a pedal there, here a pedal, there a pedal. Okay, I'm just going to test the volume with you guys.
Yep.
How was that? Does it need to go up?
Go louder by like 8 decibels. 7.5.
How does this sound?
Perfect.
Thank you. Right on. What have we got here? No, this isn't Twin Peaks. Let's just try something else. Bum, 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 bum. Going to scroll through the sound effects. Oh, I like that. I don't know exactly what that is. Nice. I spent one night staggering around looking for the other 3 horsemen. The empty stage always reminded me that we didn't particularly have to entertain each other, just sit and pose and drink some wine, carry our pleasant routines. The fantasy always comforted me. Could it have been that the image in my head might always be better than the real thing? Hopefully I have the opportunity to compare them, or else just close my eyes and enjoy the show. The saxophone starts to play as I trudge my way across the bridge. The creases in my forehead are getting a little bit pronounced each year. That street smells like Brisbane, like a stuffy but comfortable living room, and a big open window overlooking a main road. A place to sit in the evening and read highbrow comic books and really think about how life is going. It's an adequate afternoon. I'm walking along a familiar street. The wind-blown leaves are sweeping by me. Another year and I'm still here. What an adequate afternoon. I thought I'd fallen in love one last night. But it was only a trick of the light. Or maybe that really dodgy kebab that I'd eaten earlier. Now it's time to talk about detoxification. Where are we? Something like that. That sounds nice.
You guru?
Another kind of guru. There's always too many of the bastards. I love vibraphone. Where am I? You are in the village. This is called Lethal Detox. I am a cyclist now. Let me tell you all about protein. Every day I dish out raw, primal peanut fucking butter, leaving very little behind in the jar. I can travel forwards through time at the speed of ordinary time. I preside over trench coat karaoke, losing my Sharona. Stop as a four-wheeled wildlife play musical electric chairs, as the breeze blows stiff with a taste of yesterday's bitter pill to swallow. As the magpies sip lattes and complain that the ibis have taken all the jobs. The dung beetle dreams of lotto tickets and unlimited personal payday loans. How could you turn desire into disorder? How could you twist your signals into an act of feverish desperation? How could you wear a Hawaiian shirt tucked in? We're all leaving behind a legacy of sweat and botulism. We've never learned that love is not a firework. Love is not a firework. Love is not a firework. It is a fungus that grows slowly in strange and unexpected places. This poem is called J.G. Ballard. A confluence of 73 stories. Dreams of blood and machinery blended by a sickly beating heart. Some crazed machine gun enthusiast. These are the pleasures of greed and industry. Dead dogs and war paint, sharp knives, strange sounds in the echoing dark, and the smell of raw sweat. Highbrow class war on the rocks, blended with gin and apathy, pounding upstairs, resounding with war cries through barricades and summer heat. Shattered glass and frenzied fever dancing, smoothbore highways, shotgun blast of high-octane release. Flowing rivers of tar, shattered standing stones, the embers swarm overhead, the stick-shift dreams are infiltrating like the flash of propaganda bulbs. The ecstatic gift of chrome on chrome, the hot fusion of flesh and polished metal. Sharp grunts and sighs, the smash of glass, and the groan of steel. To write a poem to go with that bit. That was about waking up on the beach in November 2 years ago, and this was when half the fucking country was on fire, and woke up very early and the sky was just all grey, and it felt very bizarre and very unpleasant, and I can't think of any words to go with that. Anyway, here's a poem about robots. It's called Positronic. It's post-apocalyptic as well, but it's that smooth, cool, sciencey kind. The one that we can all get behind. I want to feel cold. I want to exchange my veins for circuits. I want to feel the wind on my steel bones and be able to say, I am still here. ears can listen to the whisper of the dust. My body will work for eternity, a miracle of assembled elements. I stand on cliff tops and stare down at the ruins. Steel giants have fallen, cities stopped like clocks, all the guiding hands are still and voices silent, but I'm still here. Survivors have gone off-world. I'm alone now and free to walk across the deserts, trace the scars of conflict, filter through the history and compose a threnody to whoever came first. I'm still here to be a witness. I'm still here to be. I am still here. I am. I might just do one more kind of a bit of a noodly bit of a Cuban noodle. I copied this one off of YouTube, it's great. You know, people do these tutorials and they're all like, hey, buy my book, and I say, no. Just want to say thank you very much to Colin Clark for emceeing tonight, and also for doing the video editing. That was really kick-ass. I, for one, had a great time during the lockdown, you know, having that to kind of
Colin did nothing for that video editing. That was all me. I fucking did it.
I meant the overall thing with everyone together. Okay, this is called Affirmations from the Thing That Lives in My Wardrobe. Keep calm, be calm, don't panic. Don't panic! Maintain your righteous indifference. Take the time to be denied, not by what you do, but by the color of your convictions. Consider that no man has ever skulked or scowled or brooded over a margarita. The conclusion is clear. Tequila is the answer. To solve whatever off-brand sorrow is buzzing through your head like a whippersnapper on Sunday morning, clashing with the doom metal of your inner monologue. At least you're not one of those other bastards. You know the ones, they're everywhere. You know the ones, you don't care if they traded their, you know, whatevers for bowls of lentil soup or something, crossed over to being woke with one fell stroke of a Tibetan singing bowl. After having safely made their own fortune through fossil fuel and hostility. What, you're asking me how I feel? Hey man, I'm fine. All I need is another cup of cold brew, fair trade daffodil brine. Yeah, no worries. I'm cool. The year wasn't that bad. God damn, what a clusterfuck. Clear your head. Sit beneath the trees. Become an empty bowl so that you can vibrate with the long, slow breathing of those wise, leafy bastards. Better to pick up that chainsaw and create your own sweet music. Thank you very much to you, everybody. Thank you. It's a great honor to be here. Thank you, everyone. Just quickly, I also have some